Thanks, Will. So, alrighty, so we're just going to do basically a quick sanity check and go over um, the remote observing for the GBT and make sure your passwords and so forth are working. So I can manage the multiple screens. Here we go. I believe Will's dropped these into the chat as well, but we have a couple useful links that we can look at for FastX, which is what we're going to go through now, which is the easy option that Will's been saying to observe and to get into the GBT system. The other option is VNC, and this is more of a command line through terminals, a little bit more manual, but is a good skill to have, and you may want to go through that on your own at another point in time. But those commands and the outline for that is at that link there. All right, so everyone should have a username and password at this point in time. With FastLink, it will actually or for FastX, you can actually use a link if you want to share that with a colleague or, this case, classmates. But also VNC will have another password which will allow you to share that out. So if anyone who can access our system, you don't have to share your username password, you share your VNC password, and that way you can share your screens between one another if you want to be looking at the same observation. All right, so if you'll go to the FastX page, which is at the bottom here, this ssh.gb.nreo.edu, you should be able to pull up this screen here and be able to enter your username and password. Question in the chat. Yeah. So Will's got it posted there. Once you get into there, that may take a second or so, but there will be a list. You can pull up launch sessions, and there'll be a list of different computers or servers that you can actually access. Two of these are primarily used for actually controlling the telescope, and that's Ariel and Titania. And there's this special XFCE option, which allows you to have a faster connection. I'm not sure if it plays with resolution or what it does, but it claims to be faster. Maybe most of those have been switched over by now. But you also have several other options where you can do your data reduction. So if you want to use and process your data on the GBT system, there's several different locations that you can do that at. And if you go to this link here, you'll be able to look at the specifications for each one of those and decide what's best for your needs. But all those should be able to access your data into our Luster system. Once you've made your selection, what I usually forget to do is that you actually need to scroll down, and below what's here, what we can see here is actually a launch button, and you need to launch that. And once you've launched that, you should be able to enter into the GBT system. So that's the basics of just trying to get into our computing system. So I would think most of the time we're just going to make sure that your passwords and stuff are working so we don't find out at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I would like for you to sign in to FastX, open up an Astrid and a Clio, and then close all those once you're done, because we can only maintain a certain number of not only Astrids and Clios, we can only maintain a certain number of windows being open as well. That's mainly done for security reasons, but also we only pay for so many seats with FastX. So most of this time is going to be used for troubleshooting and trying to make sure everyone's passwords are working. So with that, I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I would just make a couple comments on this. There are a few people who are having problems with their passwords, and I'm addressing that behind the scenes. But about the different machines you can use, you should only be on Titania and Ariel if you're observing. I think you said that, but I want to impress that again. Those machines, it's really critical that we don't have a lot of users on them because we want everyone who is currently observing to have a really fast connection. So do not get on Titania or Ariel unless you are currently observing.
Good point.
And also about sharing links, it's okay to have someone look at what you're currently doing. And if you are on the connection with them, they can also control your screen. But we are expressly prohibited from sharing account information or from setting up a VNC and giving someone access to that and then being away from your computer. Anytime you have a connection open that someone else is looking at, you should be there too. The computing's policy is that if there is account sharing going on, they will disable your account, and we obviously don't want that to happen. So if you are controlling or someone is controlling the GBT, it has to be you on your account, or if you are letting someone poke around with the system a little bit, you have to be there with them. Is that
right? No one should be on your account observing either. So no one should be using your account by any means.
So if you were able to log into FastX, go ahead and put that in the chat for everyone to see, and I will continue to debug a couple things behind the scenes here.
So there's a question about how do we launch an Astrid or a Clio once you've connected through FastX. So once you're in FastX, you're going to open a terminal, and in the command line you would type Astrid, and that should open Astrid, and then you would type Clio, both of those in lowercase, and those should open up. Again, let's avoid the Titania and Ariel. Don't use those. Pick another computer, and then do that. Getting an error that the command is not found. Must double check your spelling, I guess, and then I will try it myself to make sure I'm not getting that error. So as for the second password, there's usually an SSH password, and maybe that was set up wrong. For use terminal with so in the FastX, as you do the FastX, You should be open, once that's up and running, you should see a desktop in your web browser. And then inside that Unix environment, you should open up the terminal and put those commands there, not on your personal computer. So maybe I can do a shared screen.
There's a question. I'm logged into FastX, but confused about what session I should launch. I would suggest opening up a session on one of the Linux or one of the Lustre machines that Andrew mentioned, like Fourier or Planck. And so then whenever you click that and click launch, you'll have to, there's some roosters outside. You'll have to type in your password again, and it will open up something that looks like a desktop. Does that help, Jordan?
If some people need to see a demonstration, well, I've sent a link into the chat for a FastX session. If you want to sign into that, I can do it, just a quick opening of the terminal and inserting of the Astrid commands, if people want to see that real quick. All right, looks like we have about 2 people. Is anyone else wanting to sign in? There, we got another couple. All right. So once you've opened a window, you may have something like this. You may not have as many things on your desktop, but down at the bottom, there should be a terminal. Once you've opened that, you just have to simply type in Astrid and hit return.
I don't think you're screen sharing if you're trying to.
No, it's that link. So I've sent the link to the VNC session as well. So that's a good exercise to do, because that's probably how we're going to share a lot of the other. But let me see if I can put it into a different tab and do it as well. The screen share.
Whenever you click on a link like that, you get to pick what your name appears as. So I clicked on Andrew's link and I just typed my first name and my last name, not my account information.
No. Give me 1 second and I'll do a proper screen share in Zoom. Too many desktops on. So now you should be able to see what we're seeing at the same time for the interested. So here, most of the time, if you were to observe, you would actually go to work online, control the telescope. Or if you wanted to just monitor things, you could do work online, but only monitor the observations. Most of the time you'll come in for your observing blocks and so forth, you'll just use work offline. But for right now, we just want to make sure we can reach this point there. So for those who didn't see, all I simply did was come down to the bottom, open up this terminal, and then this window appeared, and you type the short command Astrid, and then that came up, and you can do Clio, and then that could come up, and then from Clio you can definitely launch all those other tools that Amber and Bren were showing you. So observer tools. One of the main ones is probably status, where you can actually see the status of the telescope.
There's a question about password changing. So it will not automatically prompt you to change your password. You will have to open up a terminal, which you can do by right-clicking on the screen and then clicking terminal or console, and then type PASSWD. I will put that into the chat. That will then prompt you to change your password to something more human that you can remember.
For those not familiar with Unix, if you do the command and then an ampersand, that will launch that command, and then you have your command font back. So if you want to do, let's say you want to open them both but not do multiple tabs, you could launch an Astrid, and then immediately after you could do Clio. And then you still have your command font then, prompt, I should say. Any other questions? Let's see the chat.
The password prompt after you open up a machine can be a little bit tricky. So there's just a tiny little window that it wants you to click on, that white space in the window, and then type your password in. If you don't click into that window, it usually will not register that you're typing in a password. And then once you click in and start typing, you'll see some characters fill it. Carl, that might help you.
And then okay, it may just took time to update across multiple computers or that file for the other password. I'm not sure what's going on, but it seems to be fixed now. Should be system wide, right, Will?
Yes,
When
the
they
password, username and password.
Yeah, so it should be system wide.
They so if you're trying to use between Greenbank and Charlottesville and Socorro, the computing folks would have to do something special for you, but that is your password for all of the Greenbank systems.
Copy and paste functions do get a bit tricky, especially with Clio and things like that. But in FastX, there is this little page up here, a clipboard, where you can copy and paste between your remote desktop and your current and your local desktop. So send to remote or copy from remote. So sometimes that's helpful, especially if you have a web browser when open on your personal desktop back and forth. But that can resize your windows. If you wanted to share, this is the sharing link. So Carl, is this you trying to change your password in the system? Is that the?
No, I'm just trying to log in to get to the terminal.
Yeah, so we have the fast.
I'm in FastX.
So you got the FastX. You got to this session.
Yeah,
And then you click on one and launch session.
actually, I think I double clicked, but it brought up a little password.
Sorry, you hit the play button.
Yeah,
It may not let me open it twice. Yeah, it does. And then you should be able to get into this, but then it's asking for another password when you get here.
yeah.
Yeah, that's that other password, right? Well, that shouldn't be set up for most of the students, but you may have a.
Yeah.
No,
Mine's an old account.
I think that's your same password, your account password, because for me that window pops up too. So I just my master password for that.
Yeah, I mean, I tried FastX yesterday and I got this, and then I typed in my normal password, and then I got to where I could see the terminal. But today that password screen seems to be hung. It doesn't give me the asterisks when I type. The cancel button doesn't work. The OK button doesn't seem to work.
Let me see. Sometimes you have to put an SSH passphrase, but that shouldn't be your.
Maybe I should try a different web browser or something.
That may be an issue as well. Yeah. I'm currently using Chrome. I tend not to have problems on it.
I may have used Chrome.
Yeah, you don't get this page right now, do you? It doesn't ask for a passphrase or key, so this may not be your issue. You see?
No, I don't get that. No.
Okay, then that's not the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Where's Chrome?
I'm going to open up a breakout room for anyone who's having these issues. So Carl and Sonia, I can assign you in there, and then we can just share screens and try to take care of it there. Hopefully it'll just take a couple minutes. So if you are having issues, let me know. And I can put you in this breakout room.
Okay, I think that was my problem.
Or the other browser worked.
Yeah, Chrome seems to work. I think that's what I used yesterday.
Okay. So then Sonia, I will open up a breakout room and pop over there with you.